Community is the compass, built not of sameness, but of voices varied and vibrant, stitched together in a quilt of care and resistance. Let difference be our strength, not our division.
Well, good evening, and how's everyone this evening? I hope everyone is well and doing well. Here we are at the beginning of the year. This would be our second show for the year, so we're actually very happy to have you on. I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know that I'm grateful to have this platform. This year has actually reminded me that, or this past year has actually reminded me that everyone doesn't have what I have. So we speak out on this network. We speak out with awareness and with a passion. So welcome to Politrics. This is the Politrics Show. I am Kendall Stevenson. Usually right beside me is a young man named Ronald Yates. He's the sharp eagle eye analyst. He'll be on soon. But we do speak about how we speak to truth to power, and we like to make a lot of noise. This evening, I do have a young lady. She's on. Her name is TARAH, and she is the state representative. Boom. Hey, good evening, TARAH. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show, Kendall.
Well, you're a friend of the show, so I'm always happy to see your face. And I was asking you, how's your husband doing?
He's doing great. Thanks for asking. He's, went right into the magistrate position, and he really loves it, and he's doing good things. So I'm happy for him.
That's outstanding. I'm happy for him as well. I'd like to shake his hand when I get the opportunity again.
Well, hopefully we'll see him soon.
But yeah, hopefully we will. Are you going to the breakfast, the Martin Luther King Day breakfast?
I will be there, and I'm not sure if he's in court in the morning or not. So if he's not, he will be there.
Well, you and the wife to get to chit chat for a minute. I'm sure she'll be glad for that.
Oh,
hey,
nice.
Listen, there's a lot of things that's going on. I know we don't get much into the federal because I understand it's your state, but this attack on Venezuela, with him bypassing Congress, how do you feel about that? There has to be something that you feel about that, him being illegal the way he did. What do you think about that?
I mean, I feel like most of America, and he's breaking the rules he's breaking the law. You can't bomb or do anything like that without Congress approval. And I just can't figure out. I mean, some people are finally coming out and standing up. Congress, there was, I think, 5 Republicans that actually went against the things that he's been doing, and he's mad. But I just can't, for the life of me, understand how there's separations of power, executive, legislative, and judicial, and he just doesn't care. He just does whatever he wants. So we're essentially living under a dictator. We're not living under the president of the United States and Congress, and it's extremely scary. And I can tell you right now that if roles were reversed and it was a Democratic president, the Democrats would be speaking out against our own for doing things like that. Mm-hmm. It's really bad. This is I'm 54 years old. I think that this is probably the worst I've ever seen it. And especially what's going on in, Minnesota and ICE, and everyone feels that they're just empowered and above the law. And I understand why, because when Donald Trump lets out, January 6th terrorists, right, and he pardons them all, of course, they all get a free pass to do whatever they want. And it's extremely scary. And have we not learned anything since World War II and dictatorship? I don't understand it. I can't for the life of me fathom, there's some really good Republicans out there. I'm a Democrat. That don't agree with what he's doing, and they're standing up. And then all Trump is doing is telling them he's going to primary them. Like who? I don't get it. I just don't understand. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop for democracy. It's horrible right now.
Well, I tell you, I'm a little older than you, and I've been around a minute or two, and I tell you what this feels like to me. This feels like back in the 1960s. Hey, Ron, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. And yourself?
I'm doing well. Ashe, my brother.
Ashe. Hello, TARAH.
Hi, Mr. Yates. How are you?
I am well.
Good.
To me, this is what it feels like. It feels like back in the 1960s. I feel like when I was a kid, when you had the police out there with the hoses, and you know, if you were African American, they hosed you down. They were,
Yeah.
you had one terrorist organization, the Ku Klux Klan, and they were murdering and killing people, and the little girls and buses and the things that went on, and all the protests and everything that went on during that time, even during the Vietnam War. This is like, I feel like we're right back here again, and seems like nothing is really being accomplished.
Oh, and it's more in your face because we have social media and we have images, and people still turn the other cheek. It's really not everybody, obviously. And the people that do stand up against it get shot. I mean, it's awful.
Shot or fired, one of the two.
Right.
Yeah, I introduce you as my eagle eye, the analyst, the man with the plan, the man that can break everything down. So, you know, we have TARAH Probst here, and she's always a friend of the network. Love to see her when she comes on. We were talking earlier about some of the proposals and bills that she's put in since 2026. There's been a couple of them, but one I wanted to ask her about was the clean air and the water. Mm-hmm. What's happening with that here?
So, you know, the United States government, which I don't know how long that's going to be under our current regime, and Pennsylvania have the Clean Air and Water Act, and basically it's broken down to air, water, waterways, things like that. Right now with, you know, wetlands and ecological, you know, hydraulic, all these different things that make our ecology what it is in the Poconos is really at stake. There's a company called RSE, and they're out of Texas, and they basically work for the oil and gas companies. Well, RSE is now doing land bank mitigation for wetlands and environmental, you know, things that are very important to our environment. And on a side note, we have exceptional value water in our Broadhead watershed. So we went to court in 2019 to uphold that. So we're very proud of our water, and it's something that you don't want to mess with. You've seen what happened in Detroit years ago, and just bad water leads to health issues. And everyone has the right to clean water. So my bill basically says Pennsylvania should follow the law, because right now PennDOT is doing projects, and without even having permits yet, they are negotiating taking wetlands out of Monroe County and putting them in Wayne County, over, you know, an hour away, in a completely different watershed, the Delaware River Basin versus the Broadhead watershed. They can't do it, but they're going to do it anyway. And I've just had it with these agencies that are just like, we don't care. We're doing what we want. And I've been standing up to PennDOT for over 10 years, and I'll continue. So this legislation is just a reminder that we are to follow the law when it comes to, you know, our water and our ecology, our environment. And it's just a reminder to PennDOT that you can't just do what you want.
Now, if PennDOT gets away and they do what they want, how is that going to affect us here in the county? What are we, Monroe County, Pike County? How is that going to affect us and our health and the children's health?
Oh, well, it's not just going to affect our exceptional value water. They want to narrow our creeks, and with the sheer volume and velocity that comes downstream, you know, we didn't just have the 1955 flood that killed so many people in Stroudsburg. We had a flood, I think 2 years prior to that, and then in the late 40s. And really, when it rains very hard in 2012, we had flooding in the borough. So you can count on another flood. We're in a 100-year flood zone. They don't care.
Ron, pretty quiet.
Yes,
there,
yes.
What's happening?
Well, I was listening very intently, and I have another subject, actually two subjects I'd like to bring up. And I'd like to hear TARAH respond from the standpoint of the Democratic Party, if you can.
Sure.
So what I'd like to know is, what is the Democratic strategy going forward for dealing with the president as it relates to the unprovoked and legally unjustifiable attacks on foreign governments like Venezuela? That's one. And the other one is, What is the plan for protecting American citizens from governmental agencies like ICE that recently shot and killed? Not just, we know about Mrs. Good in Minneapolis,
Yeah.
but there have been several others whose names we don't know.
Yes. Oh,
So,
yeah, of
what,
course.
if anything, can the government, I'm sorry, the Democratic Party do in order to protect the American people essentially from their own government?
Sure. So right now, the federal government obviously is rogue. I mean, we just know that they're going off the charts. There was, I'm a co-sponsor with, I think, like 52 other Democrats that Tariq Khan was the prime sponsor, basically urging Congress to do their job and hold the executive branch to their duties. And meaning you can't just go bomb Venezuela without Congress authority. We've all heard the tapes of FDR in World War II. He had to get Congress approval before he went to war, in World War II, after being bombed in Pearl Harbor. They got, congressional authority for Vietnam, for Kuwait, like you name it. We always had to have congressional authority. That's what separates the powers, the judicial, executive branch, and legislative branch. So we did do a bill urging the federal government to follow the law, because that's all we can do, right? We're the state, we're a Commonwealth, we're Pennsylvania. I don't work in the federal government, but we need to get it out there to remind people what they're supposed to be doing. And as for ICE, before you came on the show, Kendall and I were talking. I don't think anybody in the world would be upset going after, murderers, rapists, thieves that come in this country illegally. I don't think anybody would be upset about that. But right now, ICE is detaining United States citizens, terrorizing people that are in the communities, hardworking, shooting and killing. Like you said, we only know of a couple that's, with these instances that have happened. I know there's many more. And the last one with Mrs. Good, who is not a domestic terrorist and called a domestic terrorist before they even saw the film. This is 100% going into a fascist dictatorship. And if I was saying it to Kendall, you weren't on, it's happening before our eyes. We've all seen historic movies of World War II and what Hitler did and how it happened. We've seen these things, and you never think it's going to happen again. This is exactly how it started. And the more that they want to take even something as simple as the Fed, it's an independent agency. This guy is going to have this other guy, he's going to have him removed and put in his own guy. It's happening with the FCC. It's happening with judges. It's already happened at the Supreme Court. We are in dangerous times right now. And the most dangerous times in my lifetime, not the history of the world, but in my lifetime. And I can't for the life of me see how Republicans can let this happen. I mean, it's one thing to be Republican. It's another thing to be MAGA and wanting a dictator. Republicans were always about small government, responsibility, having, powers with Congress, and all of that is out the window right now. They don't care. They only care about what one person wants, and that's not their job. Their job is to represent their constituents, and that's the power of 435 congressmen and 100 senators. I don't understand where they lost sight.
My question is, now when the ICE agents, when they come into town and they come into whichever particular state, let's say we're going to talk about our state, Pennsylvania, they come here and they commit the type of, to me, heinous crimes that they've been committing. Yeah. There's nothing that we can do legally. I mean, we can't arrest them or anything like that.
I would have said yes, except for not after Minnesota. They won't even let the state agencies go ahead and investigate what happened. It's all Donald Trump's people. Nothing's going to happen to that guy. Nothing. Nothing's going to happen to that guy. He pardons January 6ers. He pardons drug dealers from Honduras. He pardons everybody that is no good. And yet, you know, we're domestic terrorists, right?
Mhm.
We're giving our First Amendment right to protest and freedom of speech. There was absolutely no physical altercation there. And every person I know in law enforcement said the same thing. And if it's upsetting.
Hey, look, people that become the villains. That's who we're the bad guys. The United States citizens. We're the terrorists. We're the enemy within. Because everything to him is peaches and roses, and everything is great. The economy is doing the best that it ever could do. He's too busy walking around blaming everybody else. If you use the word accountability, he says, no, that's a Democratic thing. They're coming after me, or the leftist party. I mean, they went as far as they called the woman a leftist terrorist.
A domestic terrorist.
They didn't even know what this woman was. How did they know what her affiliation was politically? They didn't know. They didn't know. The woman had 3 kids and a dog in the car. She had, when he opened the glove compartment, she had a bunch of stuffed teddy bears in there. This was not that. But my man, what do you think about that? You're an ex-police officer, right? What do you got to contribute to that?
Well, I think that a lot of my former colleagues who've commented on what happened have basically said that this officer was justified, right? That the car was coming at him. Now, you know, this is in America, in the times we live in. If you go to a refrigerator, take out a bottle of water, pour it into a clear glass and put it in front of someone, somebody's going to see a milkshake. Someone is going to see a beer, right? What I saw was this woman attempting to get away from the ICE agent who was running up to her door. I imagine this woman feared for her safety. There was an officer in front of her car, but as you can clearly see in the video, if you look at it frame by frame, her wheels were turned to the right in order to avoid making contact with this officer. What has not been discussed is the fact of, what I say hasn't been discussed thus far is, where were the fatal shots fired from? What position was the officer in? And where on her body was she struck? If the fatal shots were fired from the driver's side window, and this woman was struck on what would be the left side of her head, how does the officer justify using deadly physical force when you're no longer in imminent danger because you are now at the driver's side window? Cars don't move laterally to place you in danger.
When I'm watching the video, is right after he committed this heinous crime, they whoosh him away and he jumps into a vehicle and he's gone. Why is he not at the scene? Isn't it a thing that if there's a shooting, then the supervisor has to come out? You have to give up your weapon to check for bullet. All of that stuff. None of that stuff took place here. So what kind of training are these people receiving that they can go out in the public and commit these kind of crimes that they're getting away with?
Well, we live in a different time now. So I work at a school district, Scranton School District. And in the school district, the policy is if 2 students get into, say, fisticuffs, they get into a fist fight where no one is injured, routinely the police are called, right? And these children could technically be charged with something like criminal mischief, some minor crime, but it's a record. These children would have to, and their parents will have to go to court. Now you tell these children violence aren't the answer, but then you have a president that launches a military strike to kidnap a democratically elected president of Venezuela. There is no consequences. The same man bombed in Nigeria because he says he wants to save Nigerian Christians when he doesn't want to help Christians in this country. So how do we justify telling these children there's consequences for you, but none for the people that's supposed to be your role models? the people that are supposed to be an example to you of what an American is, these
So
people, there is no consequences.
may I ask you a question, Mr. Yates? One of the
Ron.
Ron, okay, but I mean, you're a police officer, you're with school district, you just, so, but
It's called
anyway,
respect. Called
yeah,
respect, brother.
yeah. So,
Ashe?
okay, Ron,
Yeah, Ashe.
here's my
Yeah,
question.
that's fine. Sure.
I work with law enforcement that are actually in the House of Representatives, as well as some friends of mine. And they literally said, and you would know this, that in training, you are never to stand in front of a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Absolutely. Those are basic tactics, right? When you approach a vehicle, you want to approach, for the most part, on the driver's side. You want to position yourself behind the driver so that the driver would have to turn to see you. So if that driver is attempting to, say, point a weapon at you, hopefully you will see the weapon as they are swinging around so you can take some sort of evasive action and defend yourself.
Right. Okay.
You never get in front of a vehicle. It is just common sense. And this particular officer, they said that he had a prior incident where he was dragged by a car. Experience is supposed to be the best teacher. If you place yourself in a bad position and you could have been injured or worse, why would you do the same thing again?
Right. I mean, it
doesn't make sense.
Right. And also the fact, like you said, the shot was from the side. He was in no imminent danger. And
None.
so, yeah, these are the things. Now, I want to throw this back at you two. We're experiencing this in 2026, and something like this happens to a white person. How many times has this happened in the Black and brown community since the beginning of time, right? So
you got enough time? How much time you got?
Well, this is my point. It's like always been outrageous. It's totally outrageous now. Social media shows things happening live, this and that. I mean, when it happened to George Floyd, the world saw it. We came out, we marched, we spoke. I just want to say that I am so outraged, and I can't imagine the rage that you must have, because this has been going on with in your lives, in your families, things you've always had to deal with since you've been born. You know what I mean? And I just want to think about those things now. Like here, a same-sex couple, a woman, she had 3 kids, shot and killed. Breonna Taylor. I mean, it's just, there's so many other names. And I just want to say that it's just injustice, and I don't know what to do about it. And the more we try to come together, the further apart this administration is going. And I just don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do.
You know what? When I came on, I heard Kendall talking about the 1960s and what has changed since the 1960s. So for me, when I registered to vote, I registered as a Democrat, and that was probably 1984.
Yeah.
The first time I went out and cast my ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, probably about 30 years ago, I re-registered as an independent because I realized the fact that both sides of the aisle are equally complicit. And let me give an example of what I mean. Somewhere about 1956 or 57, the government outlawed separate but equal.
Mm-hmm.
It was struck down in the Supreme Court.
Brown.
When was separated Brown versus Board of Education? When was that implemented? I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. In 1971, I was bused. That was not the solution to the conditions in the schools in the Black community, to pluck a few of us out and put us into what's called a better educational environment. So what happened was the funding still wasn't going to the schools in the black neighborhoods. The funding was going more to the schools on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah.
And both parties didn't do anything in terms of enforcement.
Right.
We can go back to John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy would have Dr. Martin Luther King at the White House. He knew full well that what was happening in the Deep South.
Mhm.
It was happening live on television. The
Right.
Edmund Pettus Bridge, Bloody Sunday. What did the Kennedys do? John F. Kennedy and his brother, who was the Attorney General, what did they do to protect the marchers? What did they do to end lynching? And here we are in 2026. You know, there has never been a anti-lynching bill passed in this country. And this is the 21st century. And this was something that began back in the 19th century.
Yeah.
3 centuries later, and we still do not have a bill that protects us, Black Americans, who have fought in every war this country has been involved in, from being lynched.
Yeah. Right.
And that's both sides of the aisle.
Right. Right. I mean, in my lifetime, again, I'm born in 71 when you were in school. So you only have a little bit on me. I have seen, you know, like what is progress, you know, at 54 versus 20, you know, versus, you know, 15, you grow. If you can read and learn and listen, you grow, and it's progress. My views today are not the same as they were 35 years ago. I've actually, you know, you become more open-minded. You become, you know, you go and you get educated and you meet friends from different cultures. Your mind gets expanded. You live and you learn and you change and you grow. And I can say, though, the Democratic Party, for all the faults that they have, in my lifetime, when shootings happen, they've always gone against it. You know, they've always stood in support for the victims. I mean, even like, you know, George Floyd, for example, you know, Donald Trump wouldn't have done the things that the Democrats did. He wouldn't have. I think of what's going on now. This woman, Mrs. Good, who was just shot and killed, I can tell you, if Kamala Harris was in office, there would be an investigation. There would be, this is heinous. You know what I mean? And so I'm not saying that they're perfect at all, many flaws, but I can tell you one side in my 51 years has done more than the other towards it.
Well, I'll tell you something. If Kamala Harris was in office, this would not happen. She would not have armed thugs out on the streets.
Oh, I agree.
But when you say what the Democrats are doing, let me give you an example. If you go back several Democratic administrations, go back, say, as far as Bill Clinton. I haven't heard
Who's the first one I could vote for?
Well, I voted for Jesse Jackson.
Did you?
But yeah, Bill Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton, I haven't heard them speak out against the action Trump took against the country of Venezuela and the Venezuelan people. I haven't heard Barack Obama, Michelle Obama speak out. I haven't heard Joe Biden speak out. And I suspect the reason I haven't heard them speak out is because the oil companies pour hundreds of millions of dollars into Congress, into the White House every single year.
Yep.
And let's be realistic. These leaders that I mentioned, you mean to tell me they don't have dealings with the major oil companies, the energy companies? Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me that in their portfolio, they don't have investments in some of these companies that produce weapons? Yep. The weapons manufacturers. So they're remaining silent. Because if you look at who supports a Republican Party in terms of donors and who supports the Democratic Party in terms of donors, it's the same people. If there's two horses in a race and you bet on both of them, how do you lose?
Mhm.
Or how do you win?
Well, you win because one of the horses is going to win, and you win, and the other horse is going to show, so you don't lose.
Mm.
You know, I mean, I had a lot of respect for Hakeem Jeffries until I found out that Hakeem Jeffries is one of the number one recipients of money from AIPAC and the Israeli lobby.
He took $10,000.
He took $900,000
No way.
from the $900,000. You can go and check it.
Right.
Over $900,000 in donations from the Jewish lobby.
Hey, Tara,
How can you say? Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask Tara, how many lobbyists are knocking on your door?
Oh, listen, the lobbyists that knock on my door are the ones that I support. Women's reproductive rights, unions, public schools, and that's about it. I mean, like, you know, the insurance companies come to see me. I don't get money. I don't want money. I don't want money from School Choice, who funds the whole Republican Party. I don't want money. I mean, even like, you know, the Pocono Realtors Association, I was the first Democrat that they supported in a long time. And I'm glad that they support me because we are doing everything we can for attainable housing, and I need them as partners. You know, there are some that support both sides of the aisle, but it's usually something like attainable houses. Like, I'll do that, but you won't see me taking a dime from oil and gas. You won't see me taking a dime from School Choice or from, I'm sorry, but the white Christian nationalists that want to tell women what they can and can't do with their bodies. I would never take a dime from them. I don't even take meetings with them if that means anything. Yeah, I stand on my laurels.
How about your constituent? I mean, the people that you work with, you know, your coworkers.
I don't. I mean, I can't
They're taking money from the oil companies, and maybe that's why that bill that you want to put through in water and air, maybe getting tough to push through because you got people on your same side that's against you.
No, I'm going to tell you why that's going to be tough to push through, because the governor is best friends with the Secretary of Transportation, and I'm just being honest with you. That's why that bill's going to be pushed through. That bill's not even going to see the light of day, I'm sure, but I'm putting it out there, and I'm certainly going to try.
Well, Tara, you said something.
Yep.
Well, Tara, you said something. You're talking about the bill, the Clean Air, Clean Water bill.
Yep.
Now, 2 days ago, Sunday, we woke up to a bright sunny day. 1 hour later, it was snowing. It went back to being a bright sunny day.
Yeah.
Then the snow came back. It was a whiteout.
Yep.
Then the sun came back out.
Yep.
In California, they had mudslides where the mud was up to the tops of cars.
Yep.
In the center of the country, wild weather.
Yep.
Yet, probably a third of the country will tell you there is no global warming or there is no climate change. Right. Why? Because it is the energy companies like big oil, like the petroleum companies that have spread misinformation, and the government has backed this information. Primarily the Republican Party have told their constituents, listen, there's nothing to see here, folks, even though this country is being decimated by wild weather, and the entire world is rising sea levels.
Okay.
There's nothing to see here, folks. Right. Do not worry. Just let us handle this.
Right.
And this bill that you want to have passed, why would the people in this country have to lobby the government for a God-given right to clean water and clean air and health for our children? Why do we have to fight our government for that?
Thank you.
Ashe.
You're Ron, 100%. I think the difference with me, and there's a lot of me out there, I don't mean to say it like that, is I don't care. You're not going to shut me up. You're not going to tell me not to run a bill. It doesn't look good. You're not going to tell me any of that, because that's called retaliation. And I'm going to say what I need to say. And I don't care who likes it. And I don't care if, go ahead, don't run one of my bills, because that's retaliation. And I'll call everybody out that does it. I don't care. I made more money in the 90s than I make right now. I'm doing this because I'm trying to do good. I made $189 a month as the mayor. Yes, a month. And I gave it 100%.
Wow.
I gave it 100%. I did it for 7 years to make life better for my neighbors. For the $189 a month. So the fact of the matter is that I'm not here for a job. I'm not here, to make friends, although I have a lot of friends. And believe me, I have friends on both sides of the aisle. I really, truly do. Doesn't mean I agree politically with them, but they're decent to me and they're nice to me. I don't care. I'm just going to tell the truth. I'm going to do what I need to do. And if people don't like it, and when I say if people don't like it, I mean if my leadership doesn't like it, or if the governor doesn't like it, I don't care. I'm running it. You might not run it, but the world's going to know I'm trying.
Well,
I think Senator. How's that sound? Senator Probst. That sounds pretty good.
Well, hey, we have a one-person majority in the House of Representatives. I am just, I flipped a Republican seat. I like to think that, this is how we get stuff through. And it's an equal branch of government. And whether you're a senator or, in the House of Representatives, your voice matters and your actions speak louder than words. You can say you want to do all this and all that, but until you try and people know you're trying, it's just lip service, which I feel we get from our state senator. She doesn't do anything. I mean, the bills she has passed have been for ticks and not driving and using a cell phone, which is already, by the way, against the law. So I'm doing things. I'm co-sponsoring women's right to reproductive rights. I'm co-sponsoring telling Congress, or to urge Congress to follow the law. I'm co-sponsoring veterans bills that give veterans tax relief for their disabilities. I'm sponsoring bills that matter. I'm just being honest. I'm not like just showing up and waving my hand and kissing the baby and my pearls. Half the time I'm in sweatpants because I'm busy. And I am the people that I work for. I'm no better.
Yeah, at this point, you need a Padawan, as they call it. You need someone to groom so they can move into that spot so that you can slide on up into maybe Congress or Senate, because I think you can make a lot of noise up there too.
I don't know if that's not a dream.
I think you could do some great things for the state of Pennsylvania.
Well,
I mean, as you said, look what we have now. We have what? Rosemary Brown.
Yeah. And
how far are we getting with her? What are we getting out of her as a senator? I mean, I'm not, I'm biased anyway, right?
No, but that's a very good question, because you tell me the Senate and the House were Republican for nearly 2 decades. And what happened? Our taxes went up on schools. Affordability went up. Municipalities are going broke, because when this LSA money comes in from the casinos, I give it to municipalities. I give it to nonprofits. She just happened to give $200,000 for a parking lot for Teresa Johnson's bar. You know what I mean? So what good? The Poconos went to shit under her. She didn't do anything for public schools. She didn't do anything. She wants to pave everything, put up data centers, which, by the way, is going to be able to have 6 people working at it. And it's going to make all of our water bills go sky high. I mean, it's just a joke. And she wants to put it right in the middle of areas where there's a ton of people. You're affecting so many different people. She doesn't care. She really, and I don't think she's that bright. And I don't care. I've said it to her face. Talks in circles, never gives you an answer. It's a big word salad with no concrete answer. But people don't know. She voted 18 times to literally make sure that abortion is not legal in Pennsylvania, and getting a death certificate for a miscarriage, and putting doctors and women in jail that have abortions. This is what she voted on 18 times.
How do you get a death certificate for a baby that wasn't born yet?
Thank you. Thank you. It's repulsive, actually. This is how far she is. But when she sees people in her pearls and she smiles and says, God bless you, they don't know any of this. So what
I really like, and I keep saying this is my pet peeve around here. I think maybe for veterans or people once you reach the age of 65, this property taxes, man. This is killing me. I mean, as long as I'm paying property tax, I never truly own my property. I'm paying rent to the government or to the state, but I never truly own my property because if I stop paying taxes, they come and take my land.
So property taxes come in three forms. You got your local, which funds your fire department, your local police. In your case, that's your local taxes probably aren't high because I know where you live. I'm in a borough. So I've got a public works department, trash, fire department 2 blocks down the road, and police. You call, they're here in a minute. Okay. Ours are a little higher. Then you've got your county taxes, which just went up 37%. And then you have your school taxes, which is the bulk of it. Rosemary Brown has been there for going on, I think, 16 years now, and never funded the Monroe County schools to where they needed to be. And that's why the 4 schools in Monroe County are the most underfunded in the Commonwealth. There's 500 school districts. We were 500, 499, 498, and 497 because she takes money from Jeffrey Yass, who is the Commonwealth Leaders Fund Foundation for cyber, charter, corporate thievery. She wants $500 million to give to private Notre Dame's and all the private Christian schools to pay for people's tuition. But she doesn't want to give to a public school that, number one, has to take everybody, has to take you until you're 22 years old, has to find a way to make sure you learn. There's private schools can say, nah, I don't want you. You're black, you're brown. Yeah, I think you might have a little be on the spectrum. I don't want you. Public schools take everybody. So don't even get me on a roll. One day I would love to debate that. She's horrible. Her record is horrible. And it's proven. Just have to have the right person to go after her and call her out for the nothingness that she's done, except for smiles, say, God bless you, wear pearls, and, never do an interview with you, Kendall. She'll never do an interview with you.
Yeah, I've asked her a number of times,
she'll never do it.
We're still waiting for Maureen to come on. I like to hear her point of view on how she feels about things, trying to get her on too. That's a little difficulty, but I actually may get Jasmine Crockett on. That would actually be a treat.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would actually be a treat. But this is what I don't understand. I'm sorry, Ron, but this is what I don't understand.
It's all
right. We're living in a country where people talk about let's get together, let's bring everybody together, but there's always these opposing forces that seem to keep us apart. And basically, I think it's due to the lack of education. We've been robbed as African Americans. We've received adequate education pretty much since integration. Gone to adequate schools, the whole nine, but now it seems to be affecting all of the people in the country. They want to dummy us down, if you want to say, so that they have more control over what's going on. We're becoming poorer and poorer and dumber, and they're becoming robin bearers. That's about it.
You're absolutely right. And the big beautiful bill cuts your student loan, the guaranteed student loan, cuts it to $100,000. So a kid like me, with a single mom with 4 kids, wouldn't know my dad if I tripped over him. She never got a dime. Thank God for my grandmother and my Aunt Barb. I had to move 11 times in 16 years. Always in the same, I always say that, always in East Stroudsburg Borough, though, because she wanted us to stay in the same schools. A kid like me wouldn't have been able to go to law school because I'd be capped at $100,000. And who's going to, they say, oh, you can get private loans. What bank is going to give a person who doesn't work and is going to school a private loan? It's all to make sure that the wealthy get wealthier and the poor have no shot, and the middle class are having less and less and less of a shot. And that's exactly what they're doing in the big, beautiful bill. And nobody talks about it. Nobody. They don't want you to be educated, because when you're educated, you speak up, you stand up, you learn, you expand. They don't want it. They want to dummy down people and just do what they're doing right now. And it's sick.
All right. Hey,
Well, you know
Ron,
what?
why don't you take us out? It's getting about that time. So why don't you come on with your comments, take us out, and let us roll.
Okay. So you mentioned running, or TARAH running for Congress, right? I think that change, real change in this country, happens at the grassroots level. It does not happen in Washington. Change does not come from Washington. It is the people outside, working outside the system, that bring forth meaningful change.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for things like the Montgomery bus boycott, we would still be in the back of the bus. This was not about political power. This was exerting economic power, something the government truly understands. And I think that we need to refocus our energies on working outside the government to bring about the change for everyone.
Yep.
Because we live in a time right now, as you said, Tara, this is a very dangerous time.
Mhm.
Some of the things that I see happening now are exactly some of the things that led up to World War II.
Yeah.
The other day, they talked about us taking over Venezuela's oil. Well, we don't need the oil. China and Russia was buying most of Venezuela's oil.
We
The
stole it.
reason, yes, we did. The reason the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor and decimated the Pacific Fleet, the reason was because America was embargoing Japan's ability to acquire oil to continue their war in the Far East.
Yep.
That's why the war started. And now here we are preventing Russia, who is actively engaged in a war with Ukraine, from obtaining oil. China from obtaining oil. It did not end well for Nazi Germany. It won't end well for us. We are
And
in no position to fight a war. No
Yep.
position at all.
and
And if we keep going down the road we are going, we will find ourselves at the doorstep of a third world war.
Mhm.
And it's knocking on the door louder every single day.
And what about Greenland? I mean, that's a NATO. I just can't even believe I mean, that's a NATO country. I don't understand. He's as bad as Mussolini and Hitler. This is exactly how they operated. And then someone like my kid, who is a freshman in college, who I love dearly, the only administration that he knows, Trump's been in his world since he's 8 years old. And he finds this to be the way things go, and it's normal. And it's my job, and he's in college, and everyone else's job to be like, this isn't normal. This isn't normal. And he's so far removed from history. I was close to World War II because my grandmother was born in 1920, and she didn't die until I was 36 years old. So let me tell you, I knew some of the things that happened. He's so far removed from what we actually fought for. You know what I mean? For democracy and those things. But we were jerks too, because we turned away boats of Jewish people. We turned them away, fleeing from Germany. Nope, can't come here. So we have some scars and did some, we know the bad things. I mean, believe me, we know the bad things against Black and brown people, but there's other bad things, and it's almost like it's not talked about. And we're never supposed to make the same mistake twice, and we're making the same mistake twice as we speak.
For those who do not learn, the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them.
Yep.
And we have not learned, and we're making the same missteps we made 80 years ago. And to say that Trump is just as bad,
he's worse.
I think Trump and those of his ilk are worse. Hitler could never have gone to war in Europe without the backing of American corporations and American families.
Mhm.
And for someone like Trump, who does not have a very good understanding of history, Trump doesn't have a very good understanding of, I don't know, maybe a bar of soap. But, you know, he is able to manipulate people so easily in this country because of our lack of education, our lack of understanding.
Right.
And until we begin to learn or unlearn the things that we have learned and learn some truth about the history of this country, we're doomed to that same pattern of destruction.
We are.
You know, you say that Trump doesn't understand history. Some people have a lot of different things that they want to say about Trump, but the way he's doing things, it's like he's read a lot of the history. He's read the Mein Kampf book, and he knows a lot about what took place back then in order to rule people.
Well,
He says he does. He says he does. But if you ask Trump direct questions, you never get a direct answer because he doesn't know.
He
In
never
fact,
gets a direct answer. I think
his
even
own
if he
stats he
knows, I
doesn't
don't think he
read.
gives you a direct answer. But
in fact,
all
when
right.
he was running in this last election, a woman was asking him a question about IVF, and he said, in 30 seconds, tell me, what is IVF? He was against it, but didn't know what it was.
Wow.
That's Trump.
We got people out here against Antifa, and they still don't know what Antifa is. They can't break down what the acronyms mean.
Right.
You know, and you're dealing with I mean, him and Hitler have very similar personalities and very
And
similar
backgrounds.
and backgrounds. And
Mhm.
when you're dealing with a narcissist that has his minions propping him up, you know, they're unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not unstoppable
Yes.
because we are going to stop them eventually. All right, Tara, I want to say thank you very much for coming on. We always appreciate you. Hope you come back with some more good news.
Well, you know that I will, and thanks for having me. And now I can call you Ron, even though
Yes, you can.
Well, thank you so much. And I always learn something. I really enjoy being with you guys. It's fascinating, and I'm serious. I always walk away learning something new. And
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Kendall, this should be a national show. And Ron, you should be on TV. You should be sitting at CNN and being one of the commentators when they're talking about, when they have their discussions back and forth. I'm telling you, you know what you're talking about.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Why do you think I asked him to be here? Huh?
No, it's really awesome. So it's a pleasure being here. I'm like the one I know the least, and I can always feel like I can just be myself, say how I feel, and learn something. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much again for being on, Miss TARAH Probst.
That makes me laugh, Kendall. All right, I'll see you later.
Take care.
All right. Okay. Good evening again. My name is Kendall Stevenson. I am the host of Politrics. I'm always here with my man, the Eagle Eye analyst, Mr. Ronald Yates. Again, we appreciate you coming on and tuning into the shows. If you like what you hear, give us a call, or you can always leave a comment. Let us know which direction you like us to go in. Please hit the subscriber button. Kendall Stevenson, Ronald Yates, and we're out. Peace.
Peace.